Oh, it's happened again. Tottenham 1, Arsenal 4, Eze brace. This football club deserves all the embarrassment that it kind of gets, really. We don't. And look, I tried to be positive going into this game. I tried to kind of create and try and instill a sense of belief as much as I could within myself and to other people, because it's like, if you haven't got the belief going into this game, then you've got nothing. Because when you look at the players that we've got unavailable, we've got nothing. But that level of performance today in that second half was absolutely unacceptable. And we'll come on and talk about that. We'll talk about the first half. We'll talk about the refereeing decisions. We'll talk about what next for Igor Tudor. I want to talk about some of these players as well. I want to talk about Mickey van der Ven. But before we do that, make sure to subscribe if you're new around here. Make sure to subscribe to my Bowman football channel, which I've collabed with on this video. Nearly at 1,000 subscribers if you go over there. Plenty of content coming this week, talking generally about the Premier League, the Champions League, all that kind of stuff. And obviously this is the Spurs channel, and I mean, it's a painful one to get into. I got home from the game about half an hour ago, so I've had a kind of chance to decompress and calm down a little bit. And to be honest, even maybe it's just sitting there getting popped, your team get popped about by your biggest rivals who are in a different stratosphere to you right now, despite how much we all laugh at them. Maybe there's something in that just kind of makes you feel almost a bit apathetic and not angry. And I think the lack of anger for me, I guess, kind of manifests itself there because it's Igor Tudor's first game, right? And I don't want to be too down on him. I think we've got to try and, despite the fact that these players, a lot of them just look like they're not up for this fight. They're not up for it. And maybe it's not that they're not up for it. It's not the effort levels. I think it's the real lack of belief. But also certain things like, I don't know if you guys have seen that video of Mickey van der Ven ignoring Igor Tudor on the touchline when he's telling him to kind of push up, and Van der Ven doesn't look interested. I thought Van der Ven, from an individual performance point of view today, was poor. And I think he's been poor for I don't know whether it's because he's maybe is he carrying something? Is he trying to get through these games? I also just think he's so unhappy, and I think that's manifesting itself on the pitch. And I just think that's unacceptable right now. He's a leader in this team. Has showed a capability to lead this team at points as well. He's got to do more. But like I said, I don't feel really angry. And I don't know whether that's because I've almost numbed to the fact that I think we're just in a real mess. And I've got angry about it. Really angry. And I'm still very angry at this club. For looking at that squad, looking at Spence playing out of position, looking at Paulinho playing out of position, looking at Dragusin having to be the heart of that back three after coming off the back of a huge ACL injury. And the fact that we know that he's probably not up to it anyway. Looking at Kevin Danso getting injured. Looking at Romero getting banned. Looking at Odebear. Well, I mean, Odebear's ACL was after January transfer window closed. But looking at Kudus getting injured. Selling Johnson. Bringing in Conor Gallagher. And Sousa. And they thought that was enough. That is where my anger very much still is. I said before this game that I kind of wanted to park that and put it to one side because I wanted to be really positive going into this game. Because, like I said, you wanted to feel that collective sense of belief. You know how big the fans can be in a game like this. And I think the atmosphere was brilliant for the first sort of 10 minutes or so. I mean, I can't even remember at this point in the game how long it took for the game to stop because of the communication issue with the VAR. But even I think after we conceded the first goal, and I said this yesterday, the fans didn't go away. They were there. We just didn't see anywhere near enough of a performance, to be honest. Especially second half. Look, first half, we sat off them, which is not what I wanted to do. Not how I wanted to approach the game. Wanted to be more brave. Wanted to try and get in their faces. Wanted to play on their nerves. Wanted to disrupt them. And I don't necessarily think, I said it in a TikTok just now, that maybe Rice's goal came from, or the mistake from Declan Rice came from nerves. Maybe it was more just a kind of overconfidence, actually, if anything, and Mwani nicks it off him. But look what happens when you show that aggression, you want to get up the pitch. You can force them into mistakes, and we did that. But we didn't see anywhere near enough of it after. You get to half-time 1-1, I'm fine with that. And in the first half, look, I thought Dragusin actually did well in the first half. I thought he very much held his own in that battle with Gyökeres. Gyökeres got in the channel once and flashed a shot wide. But I thought he did okay. And I thought he had heart. You know, he was up for this fight. Definitely. But he got bad as the game went on. He kind of got... The Gyökeres first goal is so bad. Like that one pass in, I think is it from Saka or is it from Timber, I think maybe? Into that space. I think Eze, it's him holding off Dragusin, and then Gyökeres is able to get between Palhinha and Dragusin and have so much time to shoot. And then the third goal comes from Dragusin giving it away, then kind of stepping up. Then the ball goes in behind. And then Van de Ven makes a good tackle, actually, and then it's just hits Palhinha, falls for Eze, of course it does. And even the first goal, I think, was kind of our own doing, really. Because I think what's frustrating is I thought Spence, for that first half, actually did okay with Saka. I thought Spence offered us nothing going forward. And neither did Archie Gray. But they're not wing-backs, man. Spence is, but not on that side. We've talked about him on the left-hand side all season. He wants to check back inside all the time, and it just kills a lot of attacks. You need width there. You need that width. And you need someone that's willing to kind of bomb on. And I thought Spence did okay defensively, and that's what's frustrating about that goal coming down that right-hand side from Saka, because he did very little against Spence. And it's Sarr, who I thought actually had a decent game in like the first 15, 20 minutes or so, but that goal was really poor. Just a bit non-committal in trying to stop him, and then Eze's got a bit too much time to take the touch and shoot. And like I said, Mawani drags us back into it. I felt sorry for Mawani today, to be honest. I think he was so isolated for a lot of it. I thought Gallagher was an absolute passenger. And I don't want to go too hard on the players. I don't want to go too hard on the manager, despite, you know, some people might want to do that. And some people might be so fed up. And that's so fine. We just lost 4-1 at home to Arsenal. We've lost 4-1 at home and away to Arsenal this season. But sadly, the attitude almost of the performance was etched in so many similarities to the away game that we wanted to, as a fan base, really avoid. Being too timid, not being brave enough, showing them too much respect, not getting forward enough. I thought with Tudor, like, I think one thing that he definitely could have done, and I said this in the ground, I was like, you've got to make those subs earlier. You've got to go braver and bolder earlier. You've got to bring Tell on earlier. You've got to move Spence over to that right-hand side earlier. You've got to go for it, man. I don't know whether it was I don't know whether it's a self-preservation thing. I don't know whether it was trying to damage limitation, maybe, but we ended up getting battered anyway, 4-1. You might as well get battered going for it. I mean, in the second half, we had two sort of chances. One of them went in the back of the net. One of them very nearly went in the back of the net. Cleared off the line by David Raya. The second goal, it should never be disallowed. It should never be disallowed. It's so soft, it's criminal. It's embarrassing to dive in the way that Gabriel did. Should Mawani be putting two hands on his back? Maybe not. Is he giving the referee a decision to make there? Maybe, whatever. But what about this then? And the thing is, I don't want to expend a load of energy moaning, because we didn't do enough. We didn't do enough. The narrative shouldn't necessarily be about the refereeing decisions, because we didn't do enough. It's important to acknowledge it, because we all want consistency in our game. And what the hell is the difference in those two situations? One goal doesn't get given. One goal gets given. Two hands on the back of Romero, absolutely fine. And Gabriel, like, you can see he's chucked himself over. You can see the dive. You can see it. But I just think, despite that, we've got to look at ourselves. And part of the reason why I'm not really, really angry is because I think I need to be positive. I need to believe, despite the fact that they haven't really given us a reason to, that we can get out of this fight. And the thing is, the fans will always be here. I'm going Fulham away next week. I'm a season ticket holder. I will be there every single game, getting behind these players as much as I can. We're doing our bit, lads. You need to step up, man. Some of the individual performances out there today. Gallagher was absolutely anonymous. Anytime he got the ball in central midfield, he looked like he was going to fall over. Looked scared. Looked like he didn't want to take responsibility. He's just a bit of a passenger. I thought Basuma was okay. I thought Palhinha was poor. Like I said, Dragusin got bad as the game went on. Van de Ven, man, I'm looking at you. You're better than this. You're more of a leader than this. If you want to go in the summer, that's fine. Go in the summer. But don't just bank on the fact that you're going to get that move if we get relegated. You need to step the fuck up now. You need to step up. It's not good enough. Games like today. The body language is not there. Simmons poor as well today. And I know he's not got players around him. And I know he's not got the quality around him. And I've stuck up for Xavi a lot. But today it was poor. But then again, how do you expect to get the best out of a number 10 when you're not playing on the front foot? And I get that you got to show respect to Arsenal in a way. Tudor kind of coming out and saying they're the best team in the world at the moment. I mean, not that we really want to hear that. It's not quite glazing them in the same way that Thomas Frank does consistently. I think Tudor is a realist. He's acknowledging the situation they're in. There was no expectation on Spurs to win today. There was kind of just hope, and you wanted to come away with having watched a performance that's going to give you more belief that we can get out of this, bearing in mind the games that we've got against the teams in and around us. But that wasn't there for me today, and it does really worry me. It does worry me. I want to be positive. I want to believe. But that performance gave me nothing to believe in. After a week being excited for this game, being excited to see if we could spoil their party, getting excited to see if we could kind of get out of this and hurt them in the process, we didn't lay a glove on them. We did not lay a glove on them. I expected a better fight than that, Spurs. And you need to give us a better fight. If your problems are with the club, if you're a player there, voice that at the end of the season. Leave at the end of the season. Do this for the fans now that have stuck by you, that were there the whole way last season when we were getting beat every week in the Premier League at home then. And we were there with you all the way for that. The whole thing of sacking the league off to go and prioritise the Europa League. We were still turning up and supporting you. That's why it hurt. Even when we won in Bilbao. That's why those league games hurt, because we were still there, and it's not acceptable, the level at this football club at the moment. So pay a little bit back to us that are paying out their fucking neck to come and watch you. And the club have got the fucking front to send out the season ticket renewal email this week, acting like they've done us a favour doing by freezing the prices. They're going to have a big shock coming if we're in the Championship. And I really want to believe in these players that we can get out of it. And once we get some more players back from injury that can make a difference, then yeah. And Romero from suspension, etc., then yeah. And like I said, I don't, despite, I keep catching myself sort of getting angry and annoyed. It is more at the club, but the players, man, the players, they need to have a long look at themselves in the mirror this week before Fulham. There's got to be some soul searching done there. I think Igor Tudor, he said today, I believe these are good players with bad habits. And those bad habits are going to take a while to kind of drill out. I was positive about Tudor kind of going into this week. I think he spoke with real authority. I think he's strong. Like I said, I think he got some things wrong today. Should have been more positive earlier on. But I think he would have found out a fair bit about this group today. And hopefully, with a week on the training ground ahead of Fulham, he can start to get some of these bad habits out of them. The on-the-ball quality is poor. The attitude at points is poor. The lack of bravery and belief is poor. I think he's right. These are good players, but with bad habits. Bad habits kind of instilled into them with various managers. And it's going to take way more than Igor Tudor to fix it. It's going to take a lot of recruitment to firstly bring in players who aren't scorned by those habits, you know. But they've got to fix up ASAP. They've got to fix up ASAP. A grim day, but we've got to get chins up. We've got to get heads up. Fulham next week is really big. Crystal Palace at home after that is really big. And we've got to somehow find a way to pick ourselves up off the floor and go again. Because we'll be there. We won't stop fighting. They've got to show more. They've got to show a bit of fight now. It's their turn. Thanks for watching the video. There'll be more videos obviously this week. I'll do a what we learned thing probably tomorrow if you guys want to see that. What we learned from Tudor's first game and what we can hopefully improve. And outside of that, there'll be just obviously a lot more content. Make sure to go and subscribe to Ben Bowman Football, my general football channel. I'm going to go to bed, turn my phone off and forget this nightmare ever happened. Hopefully you guys do the same. Up the Spurs.